Ruben Amorim is up to something. Man United could just have the most depth of all clubs in Europe when it comes to the backline because the players we are being linked with now are exciting and honestly, quite frankly, make a lot of sense. Subscribe to the United of Sport, like, share, drop a comment, and let me know whether you think United should really go ahead and purchase this huge centre back who played with Ruben Amorim before from Sporting Lisbon. Now, let's get it. So, here are the reports coming through. And by the way, Fabrizio Romano was the first to drop something, a hint about how several Premier League clubs, of course, including Man United, definitely, were interested in signing Goncalo Inacio from Sporting Lisbon. Now, the report is beginning to grow wings now. I hope very soon it flies because I back this. Now, the reports do claim that Man United is leading the chase for this 23-year-old centre-back who, of course, is mostly a left centre-back if he's playing in a back three, but can also play on the right quite comfortably. Some of the things I love about Goncalo Inacio are, one, of course, he has played for Ruben Amorim before, so definitely for me, better the devil you know than the angel you don't. That's one. But two, I love his confidence on the ball, whether he's playing on the right-hand side of the back three or in the mid, in the center or on the left. This guy will nutmeg people on the goal line. He's just that confident. And for me, a confident player is everything. Football is about confidence. If you're confident, you can do anything. If you panic, you are a recipe for disaster. This guy is full of confidence and I love it. The other thing I love about him is his passing range. He passes well from deep. He can send those through balls, but also long, straight, direct passes, which I think is something I won't say exactly lacking, but I think the other guys in Man United don't do it with the class he does it. I think it comes off more easy. That's why he's also a good dribbler of the ball. He can run around bodies with the ball, strong on his toes, on his feet. He's good with duels. He's 1.85 meters tall, not the tallest. That's a bit shorter than Delete, but for me, that's a size respectable enough for a player who is going to play on the left hand side of a back three that is going to compete in the Premier League. The other thing I love about him is his strength and, of course, winning duels, but also he scores a bit of goals. So he's also good and a threat in set pieces. He heads balls, meaning he knows how to get to the end of set pieces. And that's a sign, especially corners and free kicks, and that's a sign of a player with maximum concentration, because the only reason a player gets to the end of balls consistently in corners and free kicks is because they are concentrating and time their jumps or runs and go attack the ball. So that's precision, and it's a bit of a technical skill for a footballer. So Goncalo Inacio, for me, at 23, honestly, is a beautiful addition. And the beauty about him, I think, of all the things I will say about him, and there is more to his game than just what I was. In fact, there are some people who are thinking he's a midfielder because of how comfortable he is on the ball. But the other thing about him is he's left-footed, of course, and I've told you before, Amorim loves left-footed players. When a left-footed player is good at something, they are impeccable. You know what I mean? If a left-footed player is good at something, they are so good at it. That's the thing about we left-footers, by the way. Yeah, I was a left-footed player, so I had to, I had to drop that in a bit, yeah? But anyway, getting back to the thing, the other thing is Sporting Lisbon are willing to let him go for about £38 million. Now, I feel for me that's within the financial plan of Man United. This is not a £100 million player like, Southampton were trying to rip us off with fucking Tyler Dibling. Of course, again, guys, fucking is figurative. He's a good kid. He's a good footballer. But I mean, 100 million for him in this day, in the next 20 years, can never make sense at all. So I feel for me that everything around Goncalo Inacio joining United is reasonable. It makes sense. It's affordable. And so that said, how would Man United look with him in the team? Imagine a backline, because remember, certainly we are losing Victor Lindelof. Johnny Evans is going to retire. So clearly there is need to replace these players. Now, imagine us having a backline, a backline that has Delete with the way he's been playing lately in the center, then Goncalo Inacio on the left, then Nusal Mazraoui on the right. For me, that would be my starting back three, definitely. Of course, people will say, how about the youngster Aiden Heaven? Guys, calm down. Don't be excited. Heaven is good, but he's a work in progress. You can only be a backup now for this guy because he's more for the future. This guy is playing Champions League games, beating Man City, Arsenal, and name them. So definitely, he's ahead of him, and there is a lot Heaven can learn from Goncalo Inacio. Now, imagine a back three of him, Mazraoui, and Delete, and then the backup in the FA Cup match, probably, or Carabao, we have Lenny Yoro, Heaven, and perhaps Harry Maguire. You understand? That's depth, I feel, because any of those can properly start even in the Premier League. For me, that is something important. And I said it before. If before Man United thinks about signing a striker, before they think about Tyler Dibling and name them, all these guys we're linked with, because United clearly is always linked with everybody. I think United first need to sign a centre back and a central midfielder, a ball-playing central midfielder. We've been linked with the Fenerbahce kid, the Turkish kid from Fenerbahce, Achisek or something. I hope that's the right pronunciation of the name. But he's a young, of course, prospect. But I think we've got enough young players. Inacio too is young, but in terms of how many games he has played, I feel he's more experienced, and you feel he has an edge. And the fact that he's cheap and affordable, you would rather invest in him than another expensive young kid who is again a prospect. You would rather drop this one and let him be the one who inspires the likes of Lenny Yoro and Aiden Heaven. So for me, this deal I think makes a lot of sense. It's good for Man United. It's achievable. Everything around it for me is one I would love to see happen. And I think it can happen. So of all rumors, and trust me, they're still coming in, of all players Man United is being linked with and is about to be linked with, I think Inacio is one you might want to pick your pen and notebook and take note of with a red pen. Highlight it, because I think it could happen. More chances than not, it could happen. But we'll keep following it more and more. But that said, guys, just to wrap it up with what's coming next. Listen, on Tuesday, we are taking on Nottingham Forest. Guys, did you watch how they cruised? Okay, they did not cruise per se, but how they progressed to the semi-finals of the FA Cup. Listen, Nuno Espirito Sancho is rotating his team. Did I call him Sancho? Santo. How am I talking about Sancho? How am I talking about Sancho here? How on earth Chelsea fans are complaining about him and I'm mentioning his name? I feel bad about myself, by the way. So Nuno Espirito Santo, I think, has mastered his Nottingham Forest team, that he will rotate them in a crucial game and still win a game of football convincingly. It could have been goalless at full time and after extra time, but I think Nottingham Forest just dominated the game proper. They were just not lucky or clinical enough, but they dominated the game, and this was not really his strong starting 11. Now imagine these rested players turning up at home against United on Tuesday. We need to wake up and just believe in ourselves and just bring our A game in every department. Onana has got to be on. Everyone has got to be on, because we cannot afford to lose our first game after the international break. Yet we went into the break quite convincing. We looked like we're almost nearly there. So if we sleep again, and I think it's a good game for us to start this run in. The final 2 months, I think, can start on a good slate if we beat a team like Nottingham Forest. And also, where we stopped before with Arsenal, Real Sociedad, the way we performed, I think, for me, it's a good game to test us and test our mettle. How good have we really become in recent days? So it's a good one, but it's going to be a hard one. I'll give you my prediction of that game probably tomorrow or on Tuesday itself, but be wary of Nottingham Forest, guys. They are so direct and intense and so strong and powerful, hardworking. They perform like the way their coach looks. Nuno looks a bit tough and aggressive and huge, and he's an interesting guy. But I like him, by the way. He's a guy. I'm not saying I like him to coach Man United, but I just like him as a man. I like his personality and his story and stuff. That's why I would wish him to win the FA Cup, by the way. But I don't wish him to get anything against Man United on Tuesday. So that game we'll talk about. Beautiful that no injuries for Man United. I think most players are just returning, the injured ones. So the international break did not bring us any injuries. So I think that's a beautiful thing. But the most beautiful thing will be the psyche of our players, the motivation, the where will they be mentally? Because you need mental strength to be able to bring down a team like Nottingham Forest in their forest. My name is Webb. This is the United of Sport. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace, love, and harmony. Catch you later, fam.